Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast, and often here on the show, I zoom out and show you some big picture piece of Magic, like entire mechanics, or running through all the cards in a commander deck. But today, I want to zoom in really small and look at a through line of Magic on a handful of commons that you might not even think much about. Ready? Let's dig in. Let's set the clocks back to early 2003. Apple had just launched its second generation iPod featuring a whole 20 gigabytes of storage. You probably just watched Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers in theaters, and Wizards of the Coast is releasing a little set called Legions. No, really. It's little by today's standards. It only has 145 cards. This set was an Onslaught block, a block all about creature types mattering. So the design team wanted to try something wacky as a twist for Legions. The request came down: make the set all creatures. Now, what you just heard might have been make the set have a lot of creatures. No, it was make the set all creatures. That's right, no lands, sorceries, instants, enchantments, just 145 creatures. Now, to make this work, the team would need to solve some design challenges. How do you get enough spell effects in there? Well, unmorph triggers like Skin Thinner could be removal, sure, and the provoke mechanic served as a form of creature removal too. But in a set full of creatures, the board was certainly going to get stalled. How could you break through? The team came back with the idea of creatures with a really expensive activated ability. That way, if the game went long and stalled out, these would help make sure it would end. They were called super pump creatures in playtesting, and they tried 7, 8, and 9 mana to activate them before finally settling at 8 for all of them. These would go on to become the Invokers: Starlight Invoker, Glintwing Invoker, Smoke Spew Invoker, Flame Wave Invoker, and Stonewood Invoker. These all have abilities that cost 8 mana to activate and help end the game. They make a big creature, kill off their creatures, kill your opponent, or gain you 5 life? Wait, that doesn't help end the game at all. I looked it up and solved this 19-year-old mystery. Originally, Starlight Invoker was giving protection from a color, but it was deemed too complex for a common. So late in the process, it was changed to life gain. Yep, giving white the life gain ability when in doubt. A classic Magic tradition as old as Healing Solve, and one we're trying to do better about these days. I feel like I would have probably given white the pump and flying and then given blue something else, but I digress. These ended up accomplishing their job and playing well in Limited, and in the case of Flame Wave Invoker, arguably a bit too well, since end of turn Flame Wave Invoker you, untap, Flame Wave Invoker you was a very common way to end a game of Limited. One other fun element of Invokers is they gave relevance to your late game land draws. Much like Landfall, suddenly there were times where you were crossing your fingers that you would draw an 8th land. That kind of tension can be pretty fun. While the Legion's experiment of all creatures ended up with a pretty mixed bag of hits and misses, I wouldn't expect another creature only set anytime soon. I'd say these were one of the design hits for Limited. So given that, it was only a matter of time until we saw Invokers again. And you know where they make sense? A set where you have tons of mana. Enter Rise of the Eldrazi. This slow, limited format saw people casting 8+ mana spells with ease. So a natural fit would be creatures you could play earlier in the game and then turn on later. So enter a new cycle of Invokers: Frostwing Invoker, Bloodright Invoker, Lava Fume Invoker, Wildheart Invoker, and one of the most busted commons in Limited history, Dawn Glare Invoker. Once you hit 8 mana, you can just tap all their creatures for as long as it's in play. Seriously, it's ridiculous. In fact, I looked it up. Originally, it was giving all your creatures protection from a single color. But once again, protection was thwarted as this card was moved to tap creatures. One of my favorite developer comments here was by Ken Nagel, August 18th, 2009. Strange set, has common Sarah Angel and common Aboshan. How right you are, Ken. It was a very strange set. Anyway, one thing worth noting that the design team ran into a lot here was making sure that these were creatures that would make your deck anyway. The 8 mana ability was a great game-ending bonus, sure, but you would never be able to activate it if that card wasn't in your deck in the first place. So stat lines like 1 mana 1/1 and 2 mana 1/2 were set aside for evasive creatures, a 4 mana 4/3, and then 2 more middle-of-the-road ground ones. One final note is that they moved from 7 and a color, like legions, to activate, to just 8 mana of any color to activate, mostly just for ease of comprehension. Dawnglare Invoker issue aside, the other 4 played well, and once again accomplished their mission. Invokers were officially a great tool in the design toolbox for sets that needed them, and these ones have shown up as reprints in many other sets since. Next time we came to Zendikar, in Battle for Zendikar, we saw just a pair of Invokers show up, a bit of a nod back to Rise of the Eldrazi, with Valakut Invoker and Orin Reef Invoker. Red and green were a color pair about ramping, so putting them here to directionally send you that way made a lot of sense. And that was the last time we did Invokers. Well, until now. In Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, there are 5 new ones: Tamora's Invoker, Merkel's Invoker, Baal's Invoker, Sylvanas' Invoker, and Bane's Invoker. Hey look, we finally got flying on the white one this time. These were put in to help solve a problem Commander draft can have. The board can get stalled and you want a way to break through. More or less the same reason the Legion's design team did 19 years ago. The story here is that we had a couple creatures with high mana activated abilities in the set. So I suggested to Corey Bowen, the set's lead designer, that we try out a cycle of Invokers, and once again, they played well. Sometimes the solution you need involves looking to the past for inspiration. One other fun thing that came out of this is we were trying to come up with a card for Dinah here, a character who is an invoker in the world of Baldur's Gate. When we added these invokers in, everything clicked together, and we decided to play off the word to create an invoker commander. Dinah here plays with all types of cards, of course, but for an ultimate flavor win, go ahead and drop all 10 eligible red, white, and blue invokers into that deck you're building. It won't necessarily be good, but it will be a great opportunity to tell everyone you're playing with about what you learned in this video. Did you enjoy this episode? Would you like to see more in the future that are history lessons like this? Let me know in the comments down below, and go ahead and subscribe to make sure you catch any future ones. I'll talk with you again soon, and in the meantime, may you draw your 8th land just in time. You got this.
Exit from exile. And if we dropped in a green one to the exit from exile deck, it's a bit misleading. You can't use it to pilot the deck with Durnan. It would just be hanging out without a corresponding choose a background legend. Additionally, it would color imbalance the cycle. This would give this deck 2 backgrounds. And while we have done some asymmetrical cycles in the past, the Commander Storm cycle from Commander 2018 comes to mind.